Good morning, students. Today we are going to see the topic on motivation. What are the types of motivation, sources, characteristics and theories behind motivation, and what are the advantages of motivation. So if you see the definition of motivation, motivation is a driving force which stimulates an individual to initiate and sustain a behavior. Motivation is a biological, social or psychological state that drives a person towards a specific action. Slavin R defines motivation as the influence of needs and desire on the intensity and direction of behavior. Motivation is a desire that makes an individual to perform or continue an action based on need and wants of the individual. So on the whole, if you see the definition of motivation, motivation is a driving force which enables an individual to achieve its goal. If you see the characteristics of motivation, direction or focus of an activity, willingness and predisposition to do or act, maximum engagement in that activity. Motivation is a psychological process. This internal process is initiated by some needs. It directs our efforts towards the goal that satisfy the needs. It helps us to select the appropriate behavior so as to reach the goal. It brings energy mobilization in us. It helps to sustain the attention in one's effort. Restlessness to achieve the goal stops after the goal is reached. The sources of motivation, there are 4 sources: curiosity, learning task relevant, goal setting, self-efficiency. Curiosity, it is a strong motivator of learning since people adapt rather quickly to surprising events. Curiosity must be sustained in order to be a continuing source of motivation. Learning task relevant. Students are more motivated to learn things that are relevant to their interest. Goal setting. It is an important source of motivation. Setting goals improves self-motivation and performance to a greater extent. Self-efficacy. According to Bandura, self-efficacy involves a belief that one can produce some behavior independent of whether one actually can or not. Learners can be sure that certain activities will produce a particular set of outcomes. So we have 2 types of motivation: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation, it is the natural tendency to seek out and conquer challenge as we pursue personal interest and exercise capabilities when we are intrinsically motivated. We do not need incentives or punishment because the activity itself is rewarding. Many employment motivation systems works on the principle of extrinsic reward. So the extrinsic motivation, doing something in order to earn a grade, avoid punishments, or for some other reason that has very little to do with the task itself, then it is known as extrinsic motivation. In work, people are intrinsically motivated by working for an inspiring leader or areas where they have personal interest. The classification of motivation: primary and secondary. The primary is also known as biogenic. The examples are hunger, thirst, escape from pain, security, shelter. Secondary is sociogenic. Under that we have 3: psychological, social and personal. Psychological, freedom, security. Then social approval, social affiliations. Then personal, it depends on the self concept, and the achievement. Then we come to the theory. Many scientists has given the theory for motivation. One of the important theory is Maslow's hierarchy theory. It is also known as content theory. Abraham Maslow suggested that humans have an hierarchy of need ranging from lower level need for survival and safety to the higher level need for intellectual achievements and self-actualization. The basic needs are food, water, warmth, rest. Then extreme needs, belonging, feeling of accomplishment. Then fulfillment needs, achieving one's full potential including creative activities. So Maslow called 4 lower level needs for survival, followed by belonging, then self-esteem. When these needs are satisfied, the motivation for fulfilling then decreases. He labeled the 3 higher level needs: intellectual achievement, then aesthetic aspiration, and finally self-actualization needs. Then the next one, cognitive approaches. Cognitive theories believes that the behavior of an individual is determined by the thinking process and not by rewards and punishment. Behavior is initiated and regulated by plans, goals, expectations and attributions. People respond to their interpretation of the external events on physical conditions. Then the next important theory is attribution theory. Wiener gave 3 dimensions of attributed causes for success and failure. Number 1 is locus, location of the cause, internal or external to the person. Stability, whether the cause stays the same or can change. Controllability, whether the person can control the cause of success or failure. So locus is closely related to self-esteem of the individual and also to the sense of taking responsibility. If success or failure is attributed to internal factor, success will lead to pride and increased motivation. Then stability dimension. This is related to the expectancy about the future. If the attribute is unstable like mood, then the expectancy of failure is less. Then the socio-cultural views. The socio-cultural perspective emphasizes on participation, identities, internal and personal relation within the communities of practice. Controllability. This factor is related to emotions such as anger, shame, gratitude, etc. The next theory is goal setting theory. Edwin put forward the goal setting theory of motivation. Under that, a goal should be specific and clear. Goal leads to greater output and better performance. A goal should be realistic and challenging. This gives an individual a feeling of pride and triumph when he attains them and sets him up for next goal. Goal commitment. Goal setting theory assumes that the individual is committed to the goal and will not leave the goal. Goal commitment is dependent on the following factors so the goal should be open, the goal should be set self by individual, individual sets goals should be consistent with the organization goals of vision. If you see the advantages of goal setting theory is a technique used to raise incentives for employees to complete work quickly and effectively. Goal setting leads to better performance by increasing motivation and efforts. Then we have limitations also. Very difficult and complex goals stimulate riskier behavior. If the employee lacks skills and competence to perform action essential for goal, then the goal setting can fail and leads to less performance. There is no evidence to prove that goal setting improves job satisfaction. The components of goal setting theory are goal difficulty, the clarity, specificity, then the goal commitment. So if we lack motivation, what are the signs we have? Depression, fear of failure, low self-esteem, lack of interest, procrastination habit, increased stress, lack of aspiration. So if you don't have motivation, we'll have all the symptoms. So the advantages of motivation: job satisfaction, need satisfaction, a discipline, learning many things, a dynamic process. So on the whole, in this chapter we have seen what is motivation. Motivation is a driving force which enables an individual to attain their goal. Then we saw what are the types, whether the motivation is intrinsic or extrinsic. Then what are the theories behind which enable you to understand about motivation. Thank you.